incorruptible, and immortal. But, as with any great technological innovation, there are those who resist. For them, the interface is a destroyer of moral autonomy, a leveler of creative thought. To answer their challenge, the U.S. government has created an omnipotent security force, FATA, the Federal Anti-Terrorist Authority. FATA lacks no resources, answers to no higher power. Everyone knows the resistors are not long for this world. 1. The Shallows. Taiki wished he could believe in God, for only a God could absolve him of what he was about to do. Reason was his faith, and it was that, along with the iron certainty of logic, that had urged him to his course. It demanded courage and the sacrifice of every tender feeling, even of his humanity, so that when he looked in the mirror, he no longer knew himself and feared the thing he had become. But he was willing to pay this price, evil for a greater good. He had debated the principle over hundreds of sleepless nights. Now he was past all doubt. But logic was a cold God. It could not promise forgiveness. It could not shield him from the horrors he had seen and would see this night. It could not bind up the wounded places in his soul, or shoulder accountability for his crimes. It could only command, and if it destroyed him who did its bidding, making him the first and last victim on its altar, there was no ear to hear his protest. Only one thought sustained him. That which he did for love. He groaned, as he rubbed his aching legs. 7 hours can be an eternity in the coffin-like space of a 2-seater Electro Sparrow. He had long ago drunk up his liter of water and eaten a whole package of rice crackers, all the provisions he had brought with him. He had yet to take a bathroom break. An absence of even 10 minutes would have been enough to let his subject slip. That's why police always did stakeouts in pairs. But Taiki was alone. Nothing to back him up except his cast-iron bladder. He had stolen the Sparrow by preference because it was the most common self-driving taxi on the street. No one would give it a second look. From front to back, it was as short as it was wide, making it easy to back into a tight parking space, facing into the street, so he wouldn't have to crane his neck to keep an eye on the hotel across the way. And once his subject appeared, he could pull out either to the right or left, and not have to make a conspicuous U-turn. In the pale glow of the streetlights, the peeling, soot-stained paint and cracking cast iron of the Art Deco facade of the Regency Arms were scarcely evident. The place looked almost distinguished. Not what it was, a dive for alcoholics, fugitives, and stag construction workers. The subject's studio apartment occupied the front corner of the 3rd floor, with all 3 windows and the tiny bathroom porthole visible from the street. Taiki could see a shadow moving against the paper-thin window shades. The man was pacing as he had done for hours. What is he thinking? Wondered Taiki, with a twinge of pity. Does he know these are his last hours? Is he afraid? The visibility of the apartment and its ease of surveillance were among the reasons Taiki had selected this subject. He was a big man, a jackhammer operator, who was in the peak of health. He lived alone, neither drank nor did drugs. His habits were unvarying. Each day he got home from work by 5:15, in bed by 10:30, owned no car, did all his shopping at the corner market. Every Sunday he took a bus from Soho to Brooklyn to attend an unlicensed religious meeting. That was the extent of his social life. Taiki knew that tonight would be the critical night. He had transmitted the virus to this man 2 days ago, the expected incubation period. Today, he had watched him return home from work looking shifty-eyed and agitated.